There's a reason some moments stay with us long after they're over. A touch that lingers, a look that softens the breath, a connection that feels almost electric. It's not because of what was done, but because of how it felt. When a man learns how to create that feeling, when he understands the deeper art of connection, he becomes unforgettable. Not for his technique, not for his strength, but for his presence, for the way he makes a woman feel truly seen, safe, and desired at the same time. Too many people think intimacy is about performance, about doing more, knowing more, or lasting longer. But what if real mastery had nothing to do with performance at all? What if it was about awareness, sensitivity, and emotional intelligence? What if the secret to being unforgettable wasn't found in what you do, but in how deeply you connect? In this video, we're going to explore that truth, the one few people ever talk about. We'll uncover what actually makes a woman remember your touch, what makes her body respond not just physically, but emotionally, and how you can create that connection at any age, in any stage of your relationship. Because when you understand this, everything changes. The way you touch, the way you love, and the way you're remembered. So stay with me until the end of this video, because by the time we're done, you won't just learn how to please her, you'll understand how to reach her. This is not about technique. This is about presence, energy, and connection. The kind of mastery that leaves a lasting imprint on the heart long after the touch fades. Emotional presence is what separates a touch that feels routine from a touch that feels remembered. It's not about how long you've been with someone or how much you know about their body. It's about the quality of attention you bring to each moment. Most people touch while distracted, minds racing, expectations building, scripts running quietly in the background. But when a man learns to slow down and be fully present, his partner feels it instantly. She feels that he's not thinking about what comes next. He's not comparing, performing, or predicting. He's there. His touch begins to mirror her breathing. His rhythm adjusts to her heartbeat, and his awareness tunes into her smallest shifts in energy. That's what makes the body open up. Not technique, but attunement. Presence is a form of listening, but it's not listening with the ears, it's listening with the senses. It's about noticing how her skin reacts when you move closer, how her breath deepens or pauses, how her muscles soften or tense without words being spoken. This kind of awareness transforms intimacy from something physical into something deeply emotional. A woman can tell when a man is present with her, not just touching her body, but connecting with her experience. In that space, she doesn't feel like an object of desire. She feels like a participant in desire. She feels chosen, seen, and felt. When presence exists, time slows down, the nervous system relaxes, the walls that protect vulnerability begin to melt because the body knows it's safe. That safety doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from subtle ones, the pause before a kiss, the soft gaze that asks without demanding, the patience that says, I'm not here to take, I'm here to experience this with you. This kind of attention creates a field of trust where both people can surrender, where pleasure stops being about release and starts being about connection. The mistake many men make is believing that mastery comes from perfecting technique, from learning exactly what to do and when. But true mastery begins when you stop focusing on performance and start focusing on presence. Because no two moments are ever the same. Her body will respond differently depending on her mood, her stress, her energy, and her sense of safety. A man who is present can sense these things without words and adapt naturally. His body becomes intuitive because his mind is quiet. He's not trying to control the moment. He's part of it. Presence is magnetic. It's what keeps someone coming back even after years together. When a woman feels that kind of connection, she associates that man's touch with emotional depth and authenticity. It becomes imprinted not just in her memory, but in her body's memory, the kind that lingers long after the moment ends. Because presence is not about what you do to someone. It's about who you are with them. When a man learns that his touch becomes something more than physical contact, it becomes an emotional language she will never forget. Desire is a language that speaks through the body, through energy, through silence. It isn't about words, instructions, or even physical actions. It's about how two people communicate without saying anything at all. When a man understands that desire is not something he takes, but something he evokes, everything changes. He begins to see intimacy not as an act of control, but as a dance of mutual energy where both partners contribute, both express, and both respond. The way he looks at her, the way he approaches her space, the tone in his voice, and the calmness in his presence, all of it becomes part of that language. A woman doesn't remember a man because of what he did. She remembers how he made her feel in those unspoken moments. Desire at its core is emotional connection wrapped in curiosity. It thrives in the space between anticipation and discovery. When a man learns to express desire not through demand, but through invitation, he transforms the experience entirely. His touch becomes a question rather than an answer. His eyes say, "Can I come closer?" instead of, "I'm here to take." This creates an atmosphere of trust and excitement where a woman can let go of defenses and enter the experience fully. True desire is about awareness, knowing when to move forward, when to pause, and when to let silence speak. It's about being in sync with the rhythm of her reactions rather than rushing toward a goal. The problem is that many people have been taught to perform intimacy rather than live it. They think desire is about doing more, being louder, showing confidence. But real desire is quiet strength. It's in the patience of waiting, the softness of touch, the way presence lingers in the air. It's the art of reading what's not said. When a man stops trying to prove himself and instead lets his genuine attraction flow without expectation, the atmosphere changes. His authenticity becomes more seductive than any rehearsed move ever could be, because authenticity carries safety, and safety allows pleasure to expand naturally. Desire also lives in respect for boundaries, emotions, and individuality. Every woman experiences connection differently. A man who listens to her energy instead of assuming her needs becomes fluent in the language of desire. He learns that every sigh, every change in breathing, every subtle shift of her body is communication. He doesn't just touch her skin, he learns to touch her awareness, her comfort, her trust. That's what creates unforgettable chemistry. The kind where she feels not only desired, but deeply understood. When desire becomes this kind of exchange, the memory of it doesn't fade. It's not just about passion or performance. It's about emotional recognition. It's the moment when she feels seen, not for what she gives, but for who she is. When a man masters that, his touch becomes more than physical stimulation. It becomes a mirror of emotion, presence, and mutual understanding. That is the kind of desire that leaves a lasting imprint, one that she feels not only on her skin, but deep within her being. The body is a reflection of the mind, and intimacy reflects the emotional landscape between two people. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her body naturally responds with openness, relaxation, and receptivity. This is because desire and pleasure are not isolated in the body. They are deeply connected to the nervous system, to trust, and to the feeling of being emotionally held. When a man creates an environment of safety, not through words alone, but through consistency, empathy, and calmness, her body begins to let go. Her breathing deepens, her muscles release tension, and her heart begins to synchronize with his rhythm. Emotional safety is the silent foundation of physical intimacy, and without it, even the most skillful touch can feel mechanical or disconnected. A man who understands this doesn't rush, he pays attention. He knows that for a woman to truly surrender into pleasure, she must first feel she is not being judged, compared, or pressured. Safety doesn't mean predictability, it means presence. It means knowing she can express herself, whether that's desire, hesitation, laughter, or vulnerability, and still be met with acceptance. That's when connection becomes real. Her body begins to respond not out of obligation, but out of trust. That trust becomes the gateway to deeper physical and emotional intimacy because the body cannot open where the heart feels guarded. This kind of safety is created through small, consistent acts of awareness, a tone of voice that reassures, eye contact that holds without demanding, and touch that listens rather than insists. When a man holds space for his partner's emotions instead of trying to fix or control them, he communicates something far more powerful than words ever could. You are safe here. You can be yourself with me. That message reaches the subconscious, soothing the parts of her that may carry old fears, insecurities, or emotional wounds. Once the body senses safety, pleasure is no longer an act of effort, it becomes a natural expression of freedom. Many men underestimate how much emotional safety influences physical connection. They assume arousal is purely biological, when in truth it's deeply psychological. A woman's body opens as her mind quiets, and her mind quiets when she feels respected, seen, and emotionally secure. That's why the most unforgettable lovers are not necessarily the most experienced. They are the ones who make her feel safe enough to explore without fear. They create a sanctuary where touch is not performance but partnership, where each moment is free from expectation and full of mutual presence. When safety is present, pleasure deepens. It moves from surf level stimulation to an experience that resonates through the entire body. She remembers not just the touch, but the peace she felt, the freedom she experienced, the emotional harmony that made her body respond in ways even she didn't expect. That is the kind of connection that lasts because it doesn't just happen in the body, it happens in the soul. When a man learns that emotional safety is the bridge to unforgettable intimacy, he stops chasing desire and starts creating connection. And it's that connection that she will never forget. Curiosity is the heartbeat of deep intimacy. It's the energy that keeps a relationship alive, the mindset that transforms every touch into exploration instead of repetition. Many men believe that mastery and intimacy comes from knowledge or experience, from knowing exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to please. But in truth, the greatest lovers are not the ones who know everything, they are the ones who never stop wanting to know. Curiosity means showing up with openness, not certainty. It's about entering every encounter as if it's the first time. Even if you've been with your partner for years, it's about asking through touch, listening through silence, and paying attention to how her body speaks back. When a man is curious, he doesn't follow a script. He pays attention to her breathing, her energy, and her micro reactions, and he adjusts naturally. Every moment becomes new because he is not trying to repeat a pattern that once worked. He's discovering what works now. Curiosity makes intimacy alive. It keeps both people present and prevents connection from turning into habit. When a man approaches a woman's body with genuine interest instead of assumption, she feels it. She feels that he's not trying to prove something or reach an endpoint. He's exploring her world with patience, reverence, and awareness. That is what makes his touch feel different. It's not mechanical, it's personal. Curiosity also creates emotional safety because it replaces judgment with learning. Instead of assuming he knows what she likes or doesn't like, he stays open to the possibility that she might change, that her desires might shift, that her needs might evolve. This openness communicates acceptance. It tells her, you can be whoever you are in this moment, and I'm here for that. That message allows her to relax into authenticity. She no longer has to perform or pretend. She can simply be. And when two people bring that kind of curiosity to each other, intimacy becomes an ongoing discovery rather than a destination. The opposite of curiosity is complacency, the assumption that because you've touched someone before, you already know them. But human beings are constantly changing. Emotions, hormones, stress, and life experiences all shape how the body responds. A man who stays curious remains connected to these changes. He continues to learn his partner as if she's a book that never ends, as if each chapter reveals something new. That mindset not only makes his touch unforgettable, it also keeps desire alive. Because curiosity naturally fuels excitement, the same kind of excitement that exists at the beginning of a relationship. When every glance and every touch feels electric, curiosity turns intimacy into art. It removes pressure, it invites play, and it deepens connection. It's what makes a man stand out, not because of skill, but because of sensitivity. She'll remember the way he explored, the way he listened, the way he cared enough to keep learning her. When a man replaces performance with curiosity, his touch becomes timeless. It evolves as she evolves, and in that evolution, she never forgets how he made her feel, not just desired, but truly understood. True intimacy does not begin with the body, it begins in the mind. It is born from the invisible connection that forms before a single touch ever happens. When two people share emotional awareness, empathy, and trust, their physical connection becomes an extension of that bond. A man who understands this realizes that his ability to connect deeply is not determined by technique, but by attention. When he listens, not just to words, but to silence, to pauses, to emotions beneath the surface, he starts to see his partner beyond her physical form. He recognizes her energy, her fears, her longings, and her rhythms. This understanding transforms his touch into something more meaningful. It's not just contact, it's communication. It tells her, I see you, I feel you, I'm here with you. When the mind feels seen, the body responds. Desire and arousal are not switches that can be flipped at will. They are emotional responses to being understood and emotionally held. The brain is the most powerful sexual organ because it governs how safe, desired, and connected we feel. If a woman's mind is distracted or tense, her body will struggle to open up, no matter how skillful the touch. But when a man creates psychological intimacy, when he engages her mind, listens without judgment, and shows genuine curiosity, her body begins to relax. That relaxation allows pleasure to rise naturally because the emotional and physical are finally aligned. This kind of intimacy requires vulnerability from both sides. It asks a man to be emotionally open, to express affection without fear, and to be comfortable with moments of stillness. Many men have been taught that strength means control, but in truth, strength in intimacy means presence, the ability to stay emotionally steady even when vulnerability arises. When a man can hold that space, his partner feels she doesn't have to guard herself. She can let go of the tension that comes from needing to protect her emotions. That's when real intimacy begins, not in performance, but in emotional surrender. When a man brings awareness to his partner's emotional world, every touch becomes amplified. He starts to sense what she needs before she asks for it. He can tell when to pause, when to comfort, and when to intensify. This level of attunement makes his touch unforgettable because it feels personalized, not generalized. It's a connection that goes beyond pleasure. It creates memory. The body remembers what the mind experienced, and when the mind felt seen, the memory becomes anchored. Intimacy that begins in the mind builds a foundation that time cannot erode. It outlasts physical attraction because it's rooted in understanding, compassion, and shared presence. It's the kind of connection that lingers long after the moment is over because it engages both heart and intellect. When a man learns that true intimacy starts with emotional awareness, he begins to touch not just skin but soul. And that kind of touch never fades. It becomes a lasting imprint, one that shapes how she remembers him, not as someone who touched her body, but as someone who truly touched her being. Unforgettable intimacy is not built on technique or performance. It's built on connection, curiosity, and presence. A man who truly masters the art of touch is not the one who knows every move, but the one who understands that every woman's body and heart speak a different language. He doesn't rush to prove himself or chase perfection. He slows down, listens, and allows his awareness to guide him. His strength comes from stillness, his confidence from empathy, and his touch from understanding. When a man learns to be emotionally present, when he treats desire as a conversation rather than a conquest. He creates a kind of connection that no one forgets, not because of what he did, but because of how he made her feel. Real intimacy is not a skill to master once. It's a journey of discovery that evolves with every moment, every emotion, every shared breath. It's about creating safety through attention, excitement through curiosity, and pleasure through understanding. It's the balance of strength and gentleness, of awareness and surrender. And when these come together, touch becomes more than physical contact, it becomes an expression of emotional intelligence, care, and presence. That's what makes it unforgettable. To every man watching this, remember that your presence is your greatest power. The way you make someone feel seen, valued, and emotionally safe will always outlast the intensity of the moment. So lead with awareness, stay curious, and let your authenticity guide you. When you do, your touch becomes a story, one written not on the skin but in memory. Thank you for taking the time to understand the deeper side of intimacy, for being open to growth, and for choosing connection over performance. Your willingness to learn, reflect, and evolve is what makes you truly powerful. Wishing you understanding, balance, and genuine connection in every part of your journey. Good luck. And remember, the most unforgettable touch is the one that comes from the heart.